Loomers, it's Michelle from Rainbow Loom, and today we'll be learning how to make this Super Floss bracelet created by the Rainbow Loom design team using 2 of the Mega Mighty Looms. This bracelet was also featured in the instructions of the Loom Your Life kit available in Target stores. I would consider this an intermediate level design. The steps are not difficult, but since this bracelet is very large, there is more room for mistakes along the way. More on the Loom Your Life kit, I'll show some of the things I've made. Here are some butterflies we put into a little jar, and it's just some mini butterfly charms attached to a single chain bracelet. Then we have a tech wrap / book strap, and you also get some pretty beads to make flowers and decorate your bracelets. And here I made a pencil topper for my hook. There are so many more things you can make with this kit, especially because it comes with lots of beads and the larger Mega Mighty Looms. And these projects are all in the instructions of the Loom Your Life kit. I've done a more thorough unboxing in some of our earlier Loom Your Life videos, so check those out if you're interested in seeing an unboxing. Now let's go over the materials needed. You will need at least 1 loom that is 7 pins wide, and today I'm using 2 of the Mega Mighty Looms because I am making a full-length bracelet. Keep in mind that this loom has 3 more rows of pins than the original Rainbow Loom, so if you're not using this Mega Mighty Loom, then your bracelet might end up a little shorter. However, you can extend this bracelet quite easily if you know how. You will also need a hook. I have 2 metal hooks here from the Loom Your Life kit just in case, but since this isn't a high tension bracelet, you can just use 1 hook. And then get any accessories you'd like to decorate your bracelet with. I have these gem beads and alpha beads. If you're adding beads with smaller holes on them like I am, then you will need a plastic needle, which was included in the Loom Your Life kit. To end your bracelet, you will also need some clips, so if you're using a C-clip, you'll need 7 of them. But if you have one of the larger U-clips, then you just need 1. These larger U-clips are used for larger bracelets just in case you don't want to use 7 C-clips, but these are optional. And lastly, you will need some bands. All of these colors come in the Loom Your Life kit from Target. Let's get into the band count. I used all 7 columns of pins and used 16 rows total, so my band count is based off of that. There are 7 rows of vertical bands that go across our bracelet, and you will need 224 of those. We also have these light pink colored tie bands to keep these 5 bands in the center together, and you will need 30 of those. And lastly, you will need 60 of these hot pink tie bands on the side here. In total, that is 314 bands. I didn't have to extend mine either, so this is the final band count. Let's get started. I'm going to assemble my Mega Mighty Looms first. Make sure that the pins are facing the same direction, and then I'm going to turn them on their side and line them up. One of the looms should have some crescent-shaped hinges, so you will take the other loom and line it up on top of those hinges. Then gently press the looms together to combine them. From the side, you can see that it's completely flat. To start, make sure that your loom is oriented correctly. So you can see at the bottom here, there is an arrow with the number 1, and next to it is an icon of some bands, which means that we will place bands going in this direction. If you want to add beads like in this bracelet, let's add the beads on our bands before we start. I'm going to add gem beads and alpha beads on. For the gem beads, get your plastic hook ready, a bead, and a rubber band. Put the rubber band in the hole of the plastic needle, and on the longer side of the plastic needle, just stick your bead on. While holding onto one side of the rubber band, pull the needle through so now our bead is on the band. Let's do that one more time. Stick a band into the hole of the plastic needle. Place a bead on the other side of the needle, then pull the band through the bead while holding onto one side of the band. For beads with larger openings, you can just pinch a rubber band and push it through the bead. So in total, I'm adding 4 beads. 2 gem beads and 2 alpha beads. Let's place down our bands now. We will first place down some vertical columns of bands going all the way down our loom. But first I'm working on the center column because I want to place my beads in the middle of my bracelet. For the first band, we're placing it on the first pin in the center column going forward. And we will continue placing bands going straight down until we reach the end of our loom. Keep in mind that once you get to the end of your first loom, that will be the center of your bracelet. So if you want to add beads on, you can do that around that area. I am now reaching the end of my first loom, so I'm going to start placing down some beads because the end of the first loom marks the center of the bracelet. Since I am placing down 4 beads, I want 2 of them on the first loom and 2 of them on the second loom. I am placing my first band with a bead on it on the 3rd to 4th to last pin on the first loom. Then after that, I'm placing a normal band down, and I will just alternate between the 2 until I have no more beads left. Then I'm placing my R alpha bead, then a normal band, then my L alpha bead, then a normal band, and the last bead I'm placing down is my gem bead. After that, we're just going to continue placing single bands straight down our loom until the end. When you reach the end, let's start placing bands down again at the beginning of our loom. By now you should be a pro at placing bands straight down our loom, so we're going to do this 6 more times on all of the other columns of pins. But this time I won't be adding any more beads, so I'm just placing normal bands down. You can really play around with the colors for this bracelet during this part. I'm doing one color per column and making the design symmetrical. Remember that while placing the bands, you can't skip around within the same column, so you should place the bands down in order from the beginning to the end of our loom for each vertical column of bands. I'm going to speed this part up a little bit since you probably get the hang of this now, and I will also do a little bit on my own. Remember that we are placing bands on all columns until the very end of our loom. For the next part of this bracelet, we will be adding additional tie bands on top, so as you're placing down these bands, it would be a good idea to push them down a bit. So if you have the same hook as me, then you can take the back of your hook and push down your bands. I have finished placing down all of my vertical bands, and this is what my loom looks like. For this next part, we are going to place down the inner tie band, which is hot pink in this bracelet. It's a little bit visible from the outside, so if you want something that blends in more, then you can choose a color that stands out less. The tie bands that we will be adding next will go across all 5 of these columns of vertical bands in the center. I will use a light pink color for this next step. And I am not starting on the first pin, but I'm starting on the second pin upwards on the second column. And I will stretch this band across 5 columns of these pins in the center. Let's go up one more row and do this again. Starting on the second pin in that row, I'm stretching a single band across 5 columns of pins. And again, we will continue placing down this tie band that stretches across 5 columns of pins. You will do this for every row except the last one, so I'll see you when I get to that point. I am reaching the end of my loom here. With this last band, we're placing it on the second to last pin. Then we can start again at the beginning of our loom and place down our last set of tie bands. For this part, we are placing these side tie bands, which are pearl teal in this bracelet. Compared to the bands we just placed down, these are super visible and give a really interesting texture to this bracelet. So I will be using hot pink for these bands, and we will be placing bands down on both sides. Starting on the left where our first horizontal tie band is, I'm placing down a band that stretches to the left like this. And we will mirror this on the right side. So on the right side of our first horizontal tie band, place a band down going to the right just like this. And again, on the next horizontal tie band, we will place our first band going to the left, and then another band going to the right on the same horizontal tie band. And then on the next horizontal tie band, place down a band going to the left, and another one going to the right. So we will continue doing this on all of the horizontal tie bands that we have placed down. If there's not enough room on the pins, remember to push your bands down. I am nearing the end of my loom here, just placing down my last band going to the left and to the right. After placing down almost all of our bands, this is what my loom looks like now. And we will turn our loom around 180 degrees. You can see at the bottom of my loom now that there is an arrow with the number 2, and next to it is an icon of a hook, which tells us that we will start looming from this side. But before we do that, we have to end this creation with some cap bands. We will add 7 cap bands on the first pin in every column on this side of the loom. To do that, I'm taking a single band that matches the vertical column that this cap band is for, and then getting my hook. Place the band onto the back of your hook, then twist once so that there are 2 loops of the band on your hook. Then we will stick the back of our hooks into the pin and push the band off our hook. Let's do that now. From the side you can see our vertical band and then the 2 loops of our cap band on top. I will continue doing this for the other 6 columns. So I'm placing a band on the back of my hook, twisting once so that there are 2 loops, and then sticking that into the pin and pushing down on the cap band. And again, place the band on the back of your hook, twist once, then stick the hook into the pin and push the cap band down. I'm going to speed this up a little bit and I'll meet you when I'm done placing these cap bands down. Now we can start the looming process. This part is really simple, but it's important to remember not to skip any bands since there are quite a few here. We will just be looming the vertical bands that we place down first, back to themselves all the way down our loom. We will be ignoring the horizontal and diagonal tie bands that we place down. I am going to start on the left side. Stick your hook into the pin, pull back on the 2 layers of the cap band, grab the bottom single vertical band, and bring it forward back to itself. On the next pin upwards, you can see that it has our diagonal tie band, so we will just be ignoring that and just stick your hook into the pin, pull back on all the bands, and grab the bottom vertical band and pull that forward. Again, stick your hook into the pin, pull back on all these bands on top, grab the bottom vertical band, and bring that forward to its other half. Let's do that again. Remember that on each pin we are only grabbing the bottom band and we are ignoring everything else. This is what it looks like from the side. First, I'm sticking my hook into the pin, pull back on the top bands, grab the bottommost vertical band, and then bring that forward. Again, stick your hook into the pin, pull back on the bands on top, grab the bottom band, and bring it forward. We will do this for every column on the loom until we reach the end of our loom. Remember to only grab the bottommost vertical band and to ignore the tie bands, which again for me are light pink and hot pink. I will speed this up a little bit and I'll meet you when I'm finished looming these bands. By the way, if you did add beads to your bracelet, you just have to loom them normally like you would any other band. There's nothing special that we do with the beads. The beads might make the area a little bit of a squeeze, but you should still be able to grab the bands and loom them forward. I am nearing the end of my loom, and for these vertical bands, remember that we are looming them all the way down to the very end of our loom on all 7 columns. So that was my last band, and this is what my loom looks like now. This is a good time to check and make sure that you have loomed every single band. To end our bracelet, you can either use 7 C-clips, or you can use a U-clip which comes in the Loom Your Life kit, and it is meant for wide bracelets like this. For this blue bracelet here, I used a U-clip to avoid using 7 C-clips, but you can use whatever you'd like to end this bracelet. By the way, if you do want to extend this using a single chain extension, just keep in mind that you will need 7 single chain extensions. There is a video linked in the description if you need help with adding a single chain extension. This bracelet is long enough for my wrist, so I will just be ending my bracelet here. To end this, I'm going to turn my loom around so that I can easily place on my clips. If you are adding these C-clips on, just place them on the ends. From the side of our loom, you can see that there are 2 loops on the last pins here. So we will stick our C-clip on so that it captures those 2 loops. We will do that for all 7 of these last pins, so in total we are using 7 C-clips. Alternatively, you can also use your hook to help you place on the C-clips, so I'm using the hook to grab the 2 loops so I can more easily place on the C-clips. I already have my C-clips on, but I'll show you how to use the U-clip as well. So if you are using a U-clip, you just open it up and scoop up the 2 loops on each of the pins. If it's a bit too tight, you can remove part of the bracelet so that you can scoop up those loops a little bit easier. After you have your clip or clips of choice on the bracelet, then you can carefully remove it from the loom. You can use your hook to help you remove it to reduce the chances of bands breaking. I know in some of our short form videos we rip the bracelet off the loom, but that's just for show and we actually recommend using the hook to carefully remove your creations. After removing your creation, you may need to adjust it a little bit, and then we can connect the other side of your bracelet to the clips. If you use the U-clip, then locate the cap bands and slide them onto the other side of the U-clip. If you used a C-clip, then connect each of the C-clips to the cap bands on the corresponding side. After connecting both sides of your bracelet, now your bracelet is complete. Thank you so much for watching this tutorial on how to create the Super Floss bracelet created by the Rainbow Loom design team. If you make this, please tag us at official_Rainbow Loom and use the hashtag Rainbow Loom so that we can see your creations on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. We also host weekly giveaways on our Instagram called our Loom Star of the Week contest, where you can win some fun prizes, so be sure to follow us there. In the description box below, you can find where to purchase your own Rainbow Loom products. We have so many kits available and there's honestly something for everyone. We are also selling some Rainbow Loom products on our TikTok shop, so if you're in the US, check out our store, which has some exclusive bundles and deals that you can't find anywhere else. Also, for our US and Canada Michaels shoppers, we have 4 new products that just dropped, so be sure to check those out. One of them is an auto loom kit and the other one is a new treasure box exclusive to Michaels. Anyways, thanks for watching this tutorial and I'll see you in the next one.